You are watching KUHS The Stream, and this is the Weekend Boost. Guys, I'm so glad to have you here. My name is Paul Lane. I'm the host of the show, the author of the Caregiver's Handbook, a self-help love story. Guys, as you know, we like to have a couple of announcements before the show starts, so I got a couple of quick things to talk about here. If you are thinking that maybe now is a good time to switch to Encore Bank, you are not alone. With recent significant bank acquisition in Colorado, many businesses are finding themselves reassigned, redirected, or simply unsure of what's next. Encore Bank is a privately held bank, locally focused and known for its concierge-level service for businesses like yours. In a time of big bank changes, Encore Bank remains focused on what matters most, client relationships. Reach out to the Colorado team, and learn how Encore Bank can support your business goals. Call at 303-429-0804. That is 303-429-0804. Guys, as you know, I like to start out by talking about books that I've read or am reading, or books that I recommend, and this is one I've recommended before. My cousin was here from Mesa, Arizona last week, and that's where this book was written. And this is a book that you really should have in your hands, and I'll tell you why. You don't know who's living next door to you.
No, you do.
The Hate Next Door is a book that was written by a Mesa County police officer. He had no idea the large population of Klansmen and white supremacists and hate that was all around him. And he infiltrated this organization and brought it to light. And a lot of people don't realize what is right in your neighborhood. Guys, I have an urgent message for you today about some things that are going on in the legislative process all across the country. In Texas, they are passing legislation. Listen to this. They are passing legislation that says if you are an undocumented person and they catch you, they can give you a life sentence. Now, we know right now for a fact that concentration camps are being built in the United States of America, and that's where those people are going. What a life sentence means is they make a felony, a misdemeanor, into a felony. And with that felony, they are enslaving people and will do so for life. Slavery is alive and well in the United States of America. I've told you before and I'll tell you again. Private prisons started under the Reagan era. Private prisons they're booming. They're building them everywhere. And I can't remember the other one, but the Geo Group, all of these private prisons are making bank on your back. Get a copy of this book. You can get it at Barnes & Noble. You can get it online. Get a copy of this book in your hands, guys. Now, you all know I'm a poet, so I wrote a poem that I want to share with you. I kind of liked it. I thought you might like it, and it's really something that's really near and dear to my heart, and it's about grandmothers, abuelitas. All my life, I've never known my grandmothers know my name, and though I've never met them, they know me just the same. My grandfathers were present too. We need to hear their side, but grandmothers are different in the wisdom they provide. How could they ever teach me? They've been dead and gone so long. Through their daughters and their sisters, they've taught me right from wrong. They even sometimes shout at me, sometimes they'll give a nudge. I feel their gentle whisper, I never feel I'm judged. They taught me things like sacrifice and understanding love, and treating women with respect and with a velvet glove. They taught me things like tenderness and living without fear, and loving things like family and how to wipe away a tear. The things I've learned from women from today and centuries past have made my life here meaningful, like how to make love last. But why would they reach out to me from far beyond the grave? Because they really love me. They want me to be brave. So as I give my gratitude to those who have come before, I see my daughter walking, and I rush to get the door. Gracias, abuelitos pasadas. So there's my poem for the day. Hope you like it. Guys, I'm so honored to have my newest guest and author on the show. Also a member of CALMA. You guys know that I am a member of and a supporter of CALMA, Colorado Alliance for Latino Mentors and Authors. And they always provide me with good quality authors. I have had 5 authors on the show this year from CALMA, and we have one more coming up, hopefully the first of next year. And we're just really, really excited to be here and to be a part of your lives on this Saturday morning. But guys, Antonio Farias is an author. He works over at CU in Denver, yeah. And him and his wife work together here.
We do.
And he's written this novel, In the Company of Wolves. In the Company of Wolves is a great little fiction novel. It's a quick, easy read. Guys, I'll tell you what. He mentioned to me when we were talking that this is a book that he would probably suggest for young teenagers, but my wife really liked it. We both, as you know, I tell you about it, we read our book out loud. I read all my books out loud. My wife couldn't put it down, and by not put it down means wouldn't let me stop reading. Antonio, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, Paul. Appreciate it.
It's really good to have you.
It's a great poem, by the way.
Well, thank you.
And it centers around abuelitas, which is what part
of
the book.
When I read the book, and after I was finished, I said, this book is so apropos for today's show.
You know, it's synergy, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I'm getting ready to release a poetry book. I'm getting ready to gather all of my poems for a poetry book. I think I got 69 poems now, 68 or 69, and I'm continuing that. But Antonio, I want to give you a gift of my book. This is just a special copy that I have for you, and so that is a book that outlines my experience with my first wife, who died of a glioblastoma, which is a malignant brain tumor.
Yeah.
And so you know, I hope you never have to use it, but there's definitely some good useful concepts and ideas in that book for anyone who is a caregiver.
I appreciate that, Paul. You know what? The more knowledge we can get, and the more we can expand our sense of what health is and what curing is, the better. So appreciate it.
Yes.
Sorry that you had to go through the journey to come to this, but thank you.
Yes, it was a necessary evil in my life, and I don't know if evil is a word, but it was definitely part of my growth and my learning and understanding my own life as a human being.
Yeah.
You know, and so you know, I hope you do enjoy that.
Yeah, and I hope others get it too.
Yes, guys, pick up this book. Reach out to me at the station. It's not available at Barnes and Noble, but it is available, and I will get it to you signed if you're interested. Guys, I'm going to ask you for something that I usually don't ask for today. I'm asking for your feedback. If you want to reach out during the show, I'm going to be looking at the Facebook screen to see if you have any messages. Those of you who know me know that I am not a Facebook person anymore. I've completely eliminated my Facebook membership and you know, participation altogether. I forgot to talk about this book, A New Jim Crow. I mentioned earlier that in Texas they're passing a law to make undocumented workers get a lifetime penalty. And there's another state, I don't know if it's Illinois, but I know there's another state that is working on legislation. You know what that means? It means that they're going to enslave human beings. And don't you think for 1 minute that they're stopping at Mexicanos. Don't think 1 minute. The Supreme Court has already given them the right to search you, to stop you without due process, and you have nothing to say but to stand up and do whatever they tell you to do. The New Jim Crow is a book by Michelle Alexander. This is a book that outlines the old Jim Crow and the new Jim Crow. The laws that made slavery illegal didn't really go away. They just changed a little bit. And slavery is alive and well in the United States of America, and I will stand by that, and I'll back it up with receipts, guys. Sorry, I didn't mean to...
No, that's a great book. I also highly recommend it.
Very, very interesting,
Yeah.
Fascinating read.
Got to talk about what's hidden right in front of our own eyes. Right?
Yes. And you guys know, so a lot of times during the show I'll divert because things come up. But that's one of the nice things about being in, having this show is we're very, very liberal in what we talk about. We're very, very flexible in our topics, So, as we go through the show, if you have some thoughts that come up, please do bring those to you.
Yeah.
So this book is really about a young man named Jaime. And Jaime had a really interesting background. He had a father who was a Vietnam vet. And as I read the book, I couldn't help but think that this was a reflection of maybe a part of your life.
In part, I'm not a Vietnam vet. I did serve in the Army. I was in the infantry in the 10th Mountain. It's ironic that I'm back in Colorado, which was the mothership of the 10th Mountain.
Ah, yes.
I know you're a vet as well.
I was also at Fort Carson.
Okay, so see, yeah, I think we traded some warfare.
Yes, yes.
So yeah. So it like any book of fiction, it is a book of fiction. It's not an autobiography, but there are inflections, salpicado, right? We call it in my family, of reality and of my life and of people that have crossed my life. So the dialogue, some of the people have inflections of like uncles and aunts and abuelas, but
Yes.
but it is not autobiographical, and we should not be like fiction authors should not, especially Latino or BIPOC authors, should not be forced in many ways to only write about their experiences.
Yes.
When everybody else gets the opportunity to write about anything, including elves and just magical creatures.
Oh, dragons and
dragons,
wizards.
right?
Oh, yeah.
We should have the right to do that as well. So
Yes.
But some of the Army stuff does flow in there. So yeah, you'll catch it. That has some authenticity in there.
Very, very interesting read, because so much of as I was reading the book, there were so many little things that I could communicate and relate to. My father was not a veteran, but as this young man starts telling his story, we discover that his father was MIA in Vietnam, and his mom was having difficulty after his father died paying rent, and so he had an older brother named Kiko, and Kiko and the mom stayed in New York, and they sent Jaime off on a bus to New Mexico, to Albuquerque, to be with his abuela, his grandma.
That's right, his abuela, and his uncle.
And his Tio Julio.
Tio Julio, who is also a veteran, who did manage to come back. And as we know, right, the history of our people as Latinos on these continents is we've served since jump.
Yep.
Since the Revolutionary War and before, right? We've been in active service, and we don't get the credit we do. Right?
Nope.
And it's multi-generational, and it's also something that, again, whether you're for or against war, it is a leveling up of how you move up in society.
Absolutely.
In terms of opportunity, right? And also it's a way that, why is it that black and brown sort of soldiers died disproportionately in Vietnam?
Highly disproportionate.
Highly disproportional. It's different now. Now you have a much more multicultural army, a Navy, a Marine Corps than you ever did before. But still, it becomes a question, or especially right now, that conversation that's happening at the national level about service and about following orders, and what does it mean?
Oh man.
Right, that all plays into these young people, especially the ones that are being like National Guard, right, that are now being deployed internally.
Yes.
Right, and you got a lot of Latinos that are being deployed internally to do things that they never imagined. They always thought that they were going to be fighting and defending the nation and the homeland against foreign, adversaries, and now they're being turned against their communities.
In a million years.
Yes.
Yeah. And the Posse Comitatus laws say that you are never allowed to use your military skills or abilities, or especially weapons, on American citizens. The original job or title was of that department was the Department of Defense, not the Department of War. I'm incensed by yesterday. FIFA, who is the World Soccer League, is going to be kicking off. They had their draws for the games yesterday, and they invented. They invented a peace prize for someone who never deserved a peace prize, a man who declared war on his own country, a man who is bombing sovereign countries right now, who is sending unlimited money and bombs to a genocidal country. And they invented a peace prize for him. I'm sorry, again, got diverted a little. But here's the thing. When you go to the archives and you look at who got the most medals of honor, the medals of valor, they're black and brown men and women. And I questioned when I first started hearing them erasing the history, why would they do that? Why would they take all that merit away where merit was earned? At the same time implementing a topic called meritocracy. I think the lines are being blurred between honor and dishonor. And so his dad, Manuel, was a very brave, honorable soldier, and they were both in the Army, both the brothers, and only one of them came back from Vietnam, and that was Tio Julio. And as you read this book, you become kind of entwined. You really admire Tio Julio because he's this cool dude, he's
strong, silent
Yeah.
type that, again, and it's also partly it's those of us that have served, right? When you get asked about your service, you don't want to talk to people because they don't get it, right? And
Yeah.
people want to know war stories, they want to know excitement stuff, and most of the stuff was either A, drudgery, or the horror that you experienced, right? If you
Absolutely.
if you did deploy, and if you don't know, you don't know, right?
Mhm.
So and then there's the reality that of like veterans are committing suicide at an alarming
20,
rate.
at least 22 a day.
Alarming rate,
Mhm.
alarming rate, because they don't get help, and that's also the
Yes.
question about like how do you get help? How do you sort of rejuvenate yourself? How do you sort of come back to some semblance of
Normalcy.
of normalcy, right? If
Mhm.
you've seen horrific, traumatic things, whether
Yes.
it's at war or whether it's on the streets of our cities, right? Or
Mhm.
in the process of being a first responder, right? Or being the survivor of domestic abuse, right? So how do you get back? And for me, nature, and in the novel, nature plays a huge role. And that's why it's situated in both in New York City, which is not nature, it's a different type of nature, right? And then you situate it in the Southwest. Right? So the healing happens, right, in that desert scape.
Mhm.
That's where the process of coming to understanding for Jimmy or Jaime, it's the process of understanding and trying to let go of his father's death.
Mhm. And it was so interesting because he was very against going to Albuquerque. He did not want to go.
No.
He was opposed to it. His mom rode the bus all the way to Albuquerque from New York with him, and when they got off, he got out of the car, and he was all upset. And he ran from the house, and he was running, and all of a sudden he stopped. He saw a guy standing there, and he goes, "Wow, looks like Papi."
Yeah, and that's Tío Julio.
Tío Julio.
Tío Julio, who's sitting under a tree, right, and just again zoning out.
Yeah.
And that's the process, right? And for him, the mom is, by the way, the mom is Puerto Rican.
Yes.
Right. So this is about also trying to expand this concept of Latinidad. What does it mean to be Latino?
Oh man.
Right? So it's you've got cultures that are, again, we all identify in some way, whether it's Chicano, Latino, right, under an umbrella, and at the same time we don't. Right,
Mhm.
because there isn't, or Hispanic, right? Like Hispanic doesn't really exist until Nixon sort of created a term called Hispanic,
Mhm.
right? And then we have people that call themselves Spaniards, right? So everything, we always, the one thing that is constant among our people is that at least we just keep fighting over and over again over the term, and I'm like, I'm tired.
It's petty.
It's petty. Stop with what we call each other. I don't give a shit what we call each other.
Mhm.
Let's just do something for ourselves, right? And help
Absolutely.
each other. Let's not be that proverbial crabs in the bucket that because you made it up.
You're Hispanic and I'm
Right.
Chicano.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or your politics are different. You know what? Everyone else gets the opportunity to have different politics, and nobody gets like thrown off the island or off the rowboat.
Yeah.
Why is it that we, as a people, throw people off the rowboat because they think differently?
I've been really pondering a lot about that over the last few months, and one of the things as you were talking is we all have one thing in common.
Yeah.
We were all oppressed by the same colonizer, the Spaniard. The Spaniard left people all over, left descendants, Spanish-speaking descendants from Hawaii to Japan,
Yeah.
to every country in the world. There's someone who is, I call it Latino, because I don't know, I just feel comfortable with that. But they left a trail that is unmistakable and can never be erased.
Yeah, and at the same time, they were also dealing with their own issues of blending, right? Because
Assimilation, yes.
assimilation, but also about this whole. I mean, the whole thing in Latin America has always been about the blood quantum, right? It's somehow the purity thing. If you were like, if you could trace your history, right, and this is what happens in the Southwest, you could trace your history to the conquistadores or to back to Mother Spain, that somehow you were pure, right? You were pure Castilian blood. The reality is that's never existed. I mean, Spain was under Moorish control for 500 years.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that the Muslims, right, and the Arabs did
The
not,
Moors, yes.
right, did not mix, right? They built beautiful cities, but there was no intermingling of populations, right? So
Yeah.
our DNAs are always been radically connected.
Man, that's profound. Yes.
It is. Yeah, and then the number one thing, if you go back and read the criollos, right, the original Spaniards that came and colonized, their obsession was with blood quantum, because as criollos, they were already seen as somehow tainted, and their blood was tainted, and they were different, and they weren't pure from Spain. So we've been in this stupid mode over 500 years about purity, as opposed to understanding we've never been pure.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Right? It's like diversity is not just good in terms of like psychological and societal. It's good for you as literally as a human species, because now you have better genes that can ward off more and more issues out there.
Good point. Right? Yeah, and you're right. You know what? I have a theory that a lot of that is structural. A lot of it is engineered to create division. I'll give you an example. The Cubans have always had wet land, dry land law.
Right.
If you get onto American soil, you are no longer Cuban. You are now you are dual citizen, I assume, but you are an American citizen without any complication. You don't have to. You have to go through immigration, but not at the same way someone from Mexico or Guatemala or El Salvador would have to, or Honduras would have to come through. The opportunity for those people to become citizens is 20 years versus 1 day, and so I believe that is a very effective way to create division, because it creates a little resentment.
Yes.
And I think that when we start clearing the fog of war, we start seeing that we're not so different.
Yeah, we're not so different. But you're right.
Yeah.
Somebody's making money, somebody's profiting from us fighting each other.
Exactly.
Right. So that the novel in some way tries to talk. I mean, again, it's not like I went into this with these ideas, but as I reread it, and as people talk back to me about it, it is about. There's a reason why I'm trying to blend an East Coast culture and a Southwest culture. I'm trying to blend different types of our cultural heritages together, right? To talk about what we forget, which is nature, right? And what is our patrimony, right? What is our legacy? Our legacy is the land. El Llano, right? El Llano and behind, right? And the nature that is vanishing and disappearing, and that we've been responsible for also making disappear. Like the wolves that have been killed off. In this country, wolf shooting just became this fascination that came over from Europe, where wolves are thought as these evil spirits, right? And also because it was a fur trade, and because they ate livestock and sheep and cattle and all the things that the ranchers had. So, but it was also Latinos that were doing this, right?
Yes.
I went to I did a reading down at a Tattered Cover, and a Latina woman came up to me afterwards, and she loved the book, and she bought a book for her daughter, and she wanted her daughter and her son to read it, because she's been like multi-generational, 7 generations here in the San Luis Valley, and she raised horses. Like that's what her family did. They raised horses. So I was like, great, because I know I have the book also talks about horses in this process, and I'm not a cowboy. I'll just be really upfront about that. So I'll take all hits, and again, it's fiction. It's not a nonfiction book on horses or wolves. But what she was relating was really interesting. What she said that really struck me was her great grandfather broke horses and trained horses for the U.S. Cavalry.
Wow.
Right. And we know what you take the timeline back, you know what the U.S. Cavalry was doing in that time period in the 1800s in the Southwest.
Especially in Texas.
Right,
Yes.
right. So again, we were part of this colonization. We were part of this conquest. We were part of the building of this process. So we can't just say those people are the oppressors and we are clean and we are just, because then we forget that we have blood on our hands as well.
Even as far as New Mexico, I think his name's Añate. I think that's his name. There was oppression that was going on, and that was a Spanish colonizers coming in, overtaking Los Indios and the native people there. In the book, as Jaime gets more and more comfortable, his tío takes him out and starts showing him the mass land, the Badlands of New Mexico, and he has this mystical relationship throughout the book with this wolf, Graybeard.
Yes.
And I thought, wow, man, I think there's some hidden meaning to this story about Graybeard, because he would find Graybeard and they would look at each other in the eye, and the tío said, I can't believe you're getting really close to him, and he didn't have fear. He had a connection, and a lot of that had to do with ancestral legends.
Yes.
That his abuela and his tío had told him about the wolves and the ancestry of his people, and it was really an interesting explanation of his relationship to not just the land, but to the wildlife in the land, and everything from the the coyotes to the rabbits, and he really envelops himself with the lifestyle that he's been exposed, immersed in.
Yeah. It's again, it wasn't intentional, but like anything that all of our listeners who are creatives, and we're all creative in some way, right? Whether we call ourselves creatives or not. The mind works in wild ways, right? So as I'm writing the novel, I didn't go in there thinking, okay, I'm going to create these mystical legends in here. But the wolves have been in, they do symbolize something, and in the family lore, right? And this goes also to indigenous sort of beliefs about the world, is that the wolves are carriers of the ancestors, right? They come back as ancestors, and so they're connected. And this goes back to, again, the larger, if there's an umbrella sort of theme to this process, is the interconnection, right? What happens when you move on from this like life that we live in right now, physically, that you and I are hanging out in? I don't know, right? We're all brought up in different faith sort of backgrounds. Sometimes no faith, sometimes we're scientists, who knows, right? Sometimes we have no beliefs about the afterlife. But it's a curiosity that we all have as creatures, right?
Yes.
That have sentience. So what is it after this? And the wolves serve as a bridge, because his question is always like, where's Papi? Right?
Yes.
Papi's someplace else. He's not here. He died. I can't see him. The wolves are messengers, right?
Yes.
And the wolf serves as a messenger to the afterlife, whatever that afterlife may look like. I try not to. I grew up as a Christian. I grew up as a Catholic, but I don't try to Catholicize the process, but I'm sure some of it slips in there, and some of it is also. I'm sure some of our really anthropology-based sort of readers will be like, yeah, no, he's mixing and mashing some of the authentic legends of the Southwest, and the answer is probably yes, because again, this is fiction, and you have to give people creative license to write and to springboard off of something, because the whole point of fiction, right, and novels, and why the power of novels, right, and the power of books, is that we are storytellers.
Yes.
All of us are storytellers, right? We're creatures that engage with each other because we tell each other stories, right? And some of them are wild fish tales. Like, I'm a fisherman, and when I go catch a fish, it's probably like this big, or it's probably like a small, like 5-inch trout. But when friends ask me, especially if I have a beer or two in me, it's like all of a sudden becomes a 12 to 18.
Oh yeah, it was
18,
so heavy.
It was heavy, right?
I couldn't even get it in the film, in the frame.
Exactly, right? So there is this power of storytelling that I really want the readers to sort of pick up on, which is, how do we pass along knowledge? Because that's really what's happening here, right? It's less about like the gotcha moment. Because I read tons of novels just like you do, and I'm sure our readers do. And yeah, we always find like, oh, that's not real. And it's like, yeah, because it's fiction and it's a story. So stop focusing so much on the micro detail, and focus on what is the emotion that you're walking away from. Because that's what real good storytelling is, emotional. Because otherwise it's just a commercial.
Yep.
And even some commercials are pretty emotional, where they catch us and all of a sudden,
you're crying out of toilet paper.
Exactly, and you're like, wow, why am I crying over this product that is like they're selling me something? Because they've touched the nerve. And that was my whole goal in writing this novel, is in particular, and I'm glad you said it, that it's more than just young adults. It is marketed as young adults, but it's for all humans and all people. So if you're an abuela, the book speaks to you. If you're a dad, the book speaks to you. If you're a mother, the book speaks to you. And yes, it's called young adult, and it is about a young boy. And there's a reason why I went and spoke about young boys, because I think there's challenges and opportunities that we have within the Latino community to talk about manhood and what does it mean to be a man.
Yes.
And it's kind of late to talk about manhood when you're already talking to grown-ass men. You have to start early, right?
Wow, that is true.
And this is an opportunity for us to start having a conversation, right, about what does it mean to be a young boy growing into manhood. And that's why the uncle is a powerful figure in that, but also the wolf.
It was really almost like a balancing act, because he admires his uncle so much, and he sees him, and his connection to his dead father is really expressed through his relationship with his Tio Julio.
Yes.
And at the same time, his relationship with this wolf Graybeard is kind of reminiscent of his relationship with his father, because throughout the book he wonders if this book, because of the legends, if this wolf is his dad, perhaps.
Yeah.
Because look at it, it keeps coming and no one can find it, and I drive out and there it is right there, and
There
it's
it
like
is.
it's waiting for it.
It's waiting for it. And the wolf, right? Again, readers that do math will start doing the math on generational and be like, this. There's no way that Graybeard is real, because Graybeard was in his father's.
He would have been dead.
He would have been dead, right?
Mhm.
Wolves don't last that long. About
Mhm.
in the wild, maybe 12 years they last, right? In the captivity, they go to like 20, maybe 25 years. If anyone who's in Colorado, by the way, definitely try to get out to Colorado Springs. They've got a wolf sanctuary there that's phenomenal.
Mhm.
And it's really sort of, especially it's haunting when they actually start howling. So if you've never heard wolves in the wild, that's an amazing place to go to. But it speaks to this issue of is the world always A to B to C, which means it has to all make sense mathematically. And
Yes.
so it doesn't make sense mathematically. The same thing with the horse that's in here, right? The horse mathematically.
Oh yeah, that was.
Mathematically, it can't.
It couldn't have been a living.
It couldn't have been the same, but at the same time, is that part of that sameness still moving through generations, right, of Shadow Walker?
Yes.
The same way with Graybeard, right?
And it brings a mysticism or a magic to the story.
That's part of it.
And I'm so glad that you talked about this, because I always try to encourage you, if you're out there and you're considering writing a book or writing an essay or a poem, whatever it is, it starts with one word. I had, you guys, I don't know if you remember Todd Fonestock, he's been on the show 3 times. Todd had, at the last time he was on the show, had written 22 books.
Wow.
And I would ask him, how do you do it? He goes, I write 2,200 words a day.
That's it.
Man, I can't even read that many.
Consistency.
Consistency, a day. And when you're starting to write a book, there's a phrase that I always tell my wife and I when we're brainstorming: no wrong answers.
Yes.
No wrong answers. How am I going to get it published? We're not worried about that. Who's gonna edit it? We're not worried about that. How am I going to market it? We're not worried about that. All we're worried about is page 2, page 3. Did you ever think you'd write a novel?
No, or I never thought I would call myself a writer. So I'm an immigrant son, and like most immigrant sons, right? The top 3 things that you can do or should do to make a living: writer, right? Artist,
Mm-hmm.
playwright, actor. None of those things are in that top 3, right? It's
Yes.
always doctor, lawyer, accountant, engineer, something of that nature, right?
Mhm.
Something, a good job that'll keep you. So for me, it was really a struggle, because I didn't have writers. I had storytellers in my life, and I didn't make the connection about storytelling. And that's why I'm a big sort of proponent about storytelling.
Mhm.
That's the way you get to writing. So everyone thinks, well, I want to write a novel, but I can't. It's too hard, or it's like I don't have the time.
Mhm.
But are you a good storyteller? So if you're a good storyteller, you're already a writer. You're just doing it in the old oral tradition.
Mhm.
Now it's about, to your point, sitting down, finding the time. 5 minutes. Everyone's got 5 minutes in their life. I don't care who you are. You've got 5 minutes. If you're stuck in traffic, right, on the I-70, and and instead of like Googling or doing Facebook, if you're actually like dictating, all right, because I'm not advocating that you actually start writing while you're driving, right, just to be clear. But if you're dictating to Siri or whatever your thing is, to just have some snippet of an idea that got to you, and then you pick it up later.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You can write while you're on the toilet, right? As we get older, we stay longer on the toilet. Sorry to go into the poop land world.
I'm telling you, that's where some of the best thoughts come from, man.
Take your pad and start writing some stuff. Leave things around the house where you can actually write.
Yeah.
More of us should be writing, because again, if we're not writing our stories, other people are writing us, and then our stories vanish.
Yep.
And we all have uncles, aunts, abuelitas, abuelitos, tios, tias, that told us these amazing stories. And what happens to those? They're in your head right now, but what happens when you pass on?
They vanish.
They vanish.
Yes.
And with that, our cultures vanish.
Yes.
So this is and why I went with Arte Público uh, makes sense for me. It does because I grew up reading Latin American literature, and I got introduced to Latino literature late in life because it just wasn't part of the curriculum. It wasn't taught in the schools, right? But when I was when I was doing my after I got out of the army, right, I went to Berkeley through community college, by the way, right? So it's not like I have a golden background. I got introduced to literature by Latinos, right, and Latinas. And Arte Público at the time was the only place that was really publishing Latinos at the time, right? And they had been publishing all the way back to Sor Juana de la Cruz, right? So they have the entire catalog of the whole history of Latinos, both literature and history. So for me to get picked up by Arte Público is really special for me because what it did for me is it put me into that pantheon of
Wow.
I have godfathers that came before me and godmothers that came before me and that wrote, right, when nobody was like, Latino literature was not hot. So I'm part of that tradition that,
wow.
And this is why I want to give back, and this is why I want to teach the next generation, especially young boys who don't think that they can write, right? I have a daughter and I love her, and she is a voracious reader. She will outread me every single day of the week.
My dude.
Yeah, see, so we raised them right. And she writes, right? She doesn't consider herself a writer. She's in that process of just absorbing the world right now. So shout out to Lina, who's right now in Lombok, right, in Indonesia right now, just exploring.
Wow.
Exploring the world, right? And being allowed to explore. And that also has a lot to do with, again, I grew up, here are the kind of jobs that you should have, right? Good paying jobs. She grew up, next generation, came out of a middle class, because now my wife and I went from working class, poor, to middle class as educators. And now we gave her an opportunity to figure out the stories that are out there. So that eventually she could write her story.
And she can explore the world from her perspective.
Exactly.
With all of the things that you've given her.
That's it.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
And that's what Jaime in the book tries to do, right? He's being constrained. He's too constrained in New York, right? He's too constrained even in New Mexico, right? Out of Albuquerque. So at the end, I won't give it away, but at the end, he makes out. Like
he's taking off, man.
Literally he's taking off. And and the novel ends there.
Yeah.
And some people, including my wife, is like, it shouldn't have ended there. Like, it needed to go further. I was like, it needed to end there because I needed the reader to take a break there, and for Jaime to take a break in whatever creative space to figure himself out. Because what is next?
You know, that's great that you say that. You know, his emotional connection to this wolf is so powerful and so influential that he even, in a roundabout way, convinces his tío not to hunt this wolf anymore.
Yes.
And so I was hoping that would happen throughout the book, you know, because he says, "Why are you doing this?" Right. You know, and he meets a little girl, Marcy, and they develop a kind of a relationship, and she's from California, and her family's going through trouble, which really brought a lot of dynamic to that, because there was a lot of personal interaction between young people as well in the book, and so it really added something to it. But when the two kids were together, they both agreed that killing the wolves was not the best thing to do.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
It might have been best for the neighbors. It might have been best for the cattle ranchers, but it wasn't best for the wolves.
Right.
And so many times, especially in this life, you know, people, especially people who are supporting the immigration fiasco that we have going on, and they have a very, very difficult time relating to someone who has family members who are from another country, or someone who is here undocumented and is doing their very best to just make a living, to just survive. And it's so very difficult for someone outside of that perspective to pop their head in that bubble and say, "Wow, you are really human beings. Oh my gosh, you love your grandma, you love your parents." Oh, you know, it's almost like they've stuck their head into a forbidden place that they never were able to see, and they'll never see that if we don't speak up and say, "Hey, look, this is who we are."
Yeah. I'm glad you caught that. That's really sort of prescient. We don't listen enough to our young people.
Oh man.
Right? We make fun of our young people. We turn them into cartoons, right? Gen Z, Gen Alpha, right? The way they even the language, the code, right? Right now it's the 6-7, right? It's like, and we don't, and we want to know, like, what the hell does that mean? Tell me. And they're like, I don't know, it doesn't mean anything. And then we don't believe them, and maybe it's because they're constantly under surveillance, right? And they need to have their space. To me, what that 6-7 means, and all the lingo that they have, right, is just them trying to figure out a world and create some level of bubble where they can actually talk to each other or have time to think.
Wow.
Right, about things before they talk to us, before we shut them down, before we should them to death, right? It's like how many times, and that happens in the book, right? The adults are like, you should kill the wolf.
Yeah.
And then the kids are like, but why? Right?
Yeah.
Why can't they live? Why can't we let other creatures that are alive? You brought immigration. It's like, why do we engage? Why can't we allow people to love who they want to love, be who they want to be?
Oh man.
Right? And we create these, to your earlier point, we create these laws and these artificial systems that then try to make logical sense when they don't. They don't. Borders don't make sense.
Never have.
Never have. Especially in the Americas, they never have.
Especially not to indigenous people of
No.
America. You know, borders were just not something that was conducive to social health. It wasn't conducive to existence on any plane.
Nowhere. And the wolves move back and forth, right? They move back. They're Mexican gray wolves.
Yes.
Who are now an endangered species, just like right now, people of Mexican extraction or any Latinos in this country, right, are becoming sort of hunted.
Yes.
So they're hunted, and they're hunted down because of fear. Not because of necessarily what they're doing, but because of fear and stories that get made up of, oh, they're dangerous, they're eating up our livestock. Are they really? Because in the introduction of wolves into Colorado again, the ecosystems, and into Yellowstone and Wyoming, the ecosystems have reformed. All of a sudden, you don't have overpopulation of deer and elk, right? You actually have more game. So hunters actually have more game to go hunt because the wolves are taking care of the sick, right? Because when wolves hunt, particularly deer and elk, what they're hunting is the weak, the old, right? So they are nature's garbage collectors. They're the ones that sort of thin the herd so that the herd is healthier.
Absolutely.
Right? And so that they don't eat everything, and so that they don't.
It creates balance.
It creates balance.
Yes.
And that is what is part of this novel, is about how do you balance things? How do you balance cultures? Right?
Oh man.
Various Latino cultures. How do you balance Anglo culture and Latino cultures there?
Even regional cultures.
Regional cultures.
Yes.
All of that is there.
So many dynamics in the book.
All of that is there. But the wolves play that messenger. They are, you said it earlier, right? They are almost like the messenger of the gods.
Yes.
That are moving back and forth.
They really were like a conduit. Guys, if you're just joining us, I usually do this halfway through the show, but I just got so involved. You are watching KUHS The Stream, and this is the Weekend Boost, and I'm your host, Paul Lane. Today we are talking to author Antonio Farias, and in the company of wolves. This is a very engaging novel about a young man who has to move from New York to Albuquerque and get in touch with the part of himself that he never knew existed in his Latino culture. And you know, so much when you, and I've never lived in New York, but I assume that in New York there's a great diversity, but when you come to the Latino culture in New York, it's predominantly Puerto Rican.
Not anymore.
I guess in years past.
Back in the 70s it was. Right now, Mexican Americans are the dominant Latinos in New York.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Puerto Ricans have actually migrated south to like the Carolinas and to Florida, and again, our people move as jobs become available, right? And as different migrations happen.
So things change. The whole character of the whole country is evolving and it's developing. And you know, those people who have this hatred for immigrants don't understand. You know, my great grandfather was a Mexican citizen. He grew up and was born in Plaza de Leones, Mexico. My grandfather was a first generation American, and he grew up in a town called Walsenburg, Colorado. They're the exact same town. When I talk about I didn't cross the border crossed me, I'm telling you, I lived it. Wow. My family, my history exactly is what we talk about.
That's a cool place, Walsenburg.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Through there, La Veta.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful place. some
Don't
good-
speed through there.
No, definitely don't. But definitely stop by. Good food, some good breweries in the area.
Yeah.
Really good people and good fishing too, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I gotta go up there and do some fishing. I
Yeah.
was born there, but I was the 5th generation born in what is that land now.
That's amazing.
So we, you know, we all have our history and we all have our cultural background, and yet when we have one group over here and one group over here and one group over here, what do we have? We have a divided States of America. You know, I was a valuing diversity instructor for almost 10 years at Excel Energy. And, you know, we never talked about it being it was a salad bowl. It wasn't a mixing pot, it was a salad bowl. And you know why it was such a beautiful way to describe that? Because the tomatoes enhanced the cucumbers. And the lechuga, the lettuce, always went good with that red onion. You know, and if you didn't put any dressing on it, you still had a plain salad. But it's a blend of all of the rich cultures that come together to make this such a great and wonderful place.
Yeah, that's spot on. By the way, I would be remiss, definitely pick up, because I'm honored to be hanging out with Paul and talking another author, Caregiver's Handbook, which I'm super excited to read.
Yeah, I'd like your feedback on that.
Oh, you'll get it, because I'm at that stage in my life where, you know, I believe in Western medicine, but I also believe that we've left behind other knowings, and it's not an either or.
Mhm.
That's where we get stuck. It's like either this way or that way. And the world,
No.
the older we get, the more we realize that there's a whole bunch of gray.
Yep.
And the more I know, the more I feel like I don't know anything about the world.
Oh man.
But what it incites, to your point about like all this difference, is curiosity. And that's what
Yes.
that's what we got to figure out. It's like, how do you become curious enough to ask a question about the person that's sitting next to you?
Yes.
Right? And not be terrified about it. Ask the question, and if you ask a question with a level of respect and like humility, people will answer it, even if it's like the same question that I sometimes get sort of tired of being asked, which is like, so where are you from? And I was like, New York. And they're like, no, where are you from? I was like, New York. And they're like, I know what they want to say,
Yeah.
what they want to ask me, but I want them to ask it, right? It's like, what's your cultural background? What's your history? Where are your parents from, right? And then we got to get deep, because it's one thing to just ask, okay, it's sort of like the question when you get asked that you're in any stupid party, right? It's like, so what do you do for a living, right? And then somehow that title of whatever you do defines you, as opposed to...
And it's almost like it registers, how am I going to treat you?
Yes.
How much respect am I going to have for you?
Yes.
Are you a carpenter?
Yes.
Oh, are you a doctor? Oh,
Right.
are you an architect, or are you a concrete finisher?
Yes.
You know, and the fact of the matter is that we are all flesh and blood.
Yes. Yes.
And no man is above me. No man's below me. But no man, no woman, no one is above me.
And curiosity is the antidote.
Yes, it is.
Right.
Yes, it
to
is.
what we're doing right now. It's like, stop listening to pundits, stop listening to your echo chambers, go out and figure out, is that true? Ask the question. Everyone needs to channel their 5-year-old. And we know what every 5-year-old those of us that had 5-year-olds, have 5-year-olds, know 5-year-olds, what is the number one thing that sometimes drives adults crazy that they keep asking?
Why?
Why?
Why is the sky blue?
Exactly. My daughter was phenomenal at the whys, and she would go 8 levels in. And for me, it was always the dark stuff, always about like the afterlife and about death. And Mom got all the cool like questions, but we would go deep. And again, she was a little, you know, this little kid, and yet she was super curious. And that, if I did anything good as a father, it was just to incite a level of curiosity in her that gave her an itchy sense of the world, and saying, okay, I love reading books and I love reading about differences all over the world, but I want to go see it. I want to go taste it. Imagine if we all did that.
Yes.
Imagine if instead of thinking about, okay, these people, these immigrants are somehow criminals and they need to be deported. Imagine if we thought about, what do they do? Like, we're coming up to the holidays. What is a holiday? What is a Christmas like?
How does your family celebrate?
Right, how does they celebrate?
What do you eat?
Right, do you
know?
cry? Right,
Yeah.
It's like, do you have a mother? Right? Do you deserve? Right, this whole thing of deserving. So, you talk about Michelle Alexander, right? And the other great book is Just Mercy, right? Which is, you know, Brian Steverson, who's also talks about this, right? And I'm sure you've highlighted in the past. But it is, we have a justice system that doesn't have any mercy built into it right now. So what does it mean to have mercy for people?
Compassion.
Compassion.
Yes.
Compassion.
And it's so lacking in our time, in this time.
Yes.
Hey, before I forget, where can people pick up your book?
Yeah, where can they pick it up? So they can pick it up, they can go to, the only place right now that physically has it, if you're in the Denver area, is Tattered Cover Books, right? So the Aspen Grove one has it, has the copies. The main one on Colfax has copies there. Definitely sort of, I would recommend, and then you can order it straight from Arte Publico Press, or any press. I'm not shouting out to any bookstore. I always sort of, and I think your heart is this, I always encourage people to get it from independent bookstores.
Yes.
Right, wherever possible. It means you'll have to wait a little bit, but you know what? It's worth the wait. Right?
Yes.
Like anything good, you gotta wait for it. It's like if you want bread, you gotta wait. You can go buy it, or you can make it yourself, and then you wait, and it always tastes better. The other thing is you can also pick it up on Kindle if you want, and if you want instant gratification.
Yes.
Yeah.
So get a copy of this book, guys. I'm telling you, it's a very, very entertaining book. It's definitely a page turner. It was worth the read. I mean, if I wasn't even doing this show, I would tell you this book is worth the read. I have one more poem that I want to share with you before we close.
I love it.
And I wrote this poem. It's so funny because I grew up in West Denver when I was a young man, right over there by La Alma Park, what they used to call Lincoln Park. And one day I was standing there and I heard shouting coming down the street.
Oh yeah.
And last week I drove my wife right through where I wrote this poem about. This poem is entitled Yo Soy Chicano. It was just another day for me, a boy of 9 or 10. I heard their voices loud and clear, the women and the men. Thundering voices echoed off the walls, just booming like a gun. From blocks away I could hear the many voices sounding off as one. The crowd filled the street solid from one side to the other. Men called everyone their sister and their brother. The conviction in their voices told me they had a vision. I had to get closer to hear their mighty mission. A man named Corky screamed, Chicano! And the crowd yelled, Power! I wanted to go and join, if only for an hour. My mother saw me standing there and said I shouldn't go. She said the people there were no one I should know. She told me I could not walk out of school when she shouted loud. And then she shouted loud, don't you ever let me see you running with that crowd. I couldn't help but ask her why. She said that they were bad. Chicanos cause us trouble. They make the people mad. Those Chicanos say they're marching to make the schools more fair, but I think they're just violent. That Corky guy don't care. But in my heart, I disagreed. I felt his words were true. Mestizo blood runs through my veins, and though Spanish blood runs too. I hadn't recognized the conflict of the colonizer's hand, or how they overpowered us and stole our sacred land. But as I learned of who I am, I hold my head up high. Wait a minute, I'm sorry. But as I learned of who I am, I hold my head up proud. I say these awesome words today, I say them clear and loud. Yo soy Chicano, soy mestizo, indigenous and brown. My ancestors were kings and queens, and I must wear their crown. I will always tell my brothers, my sisters, and my friends, and anyone who listens, of how our history blends. I'll honor our Creator and Tonatzin with love. I won't forget my grandmothers and grandfathers above. I love that I'm indigenous, though our blood spilled on the earth. Their genocide could never kill me, the me I was at birth. Yo soy Chicano.
Nice.
Guys,
Nice.
embrace who you are. Embrace your culture, embrace your familia, your family, your background, and pick up your tablet and start writing page 1.
One word at a time.
I always close my show with this phrase that I love. Everybody's looking for a hero. And if you can't find one, be one. I'd love to have you on the show. I invite you, if you know someone who'd be interested in coming on. I welcome your words. I welcome your wisdom. I embrace your experience. And I'd love to have you there. Guys, you've been watching the Weekend Boost on KUHS The Stream. Please don't turn away, because Mr. International's up on deck. He's going to bring you some fascinating, wonderful, upbeat music to make your Saturday better. Thank you for listening, guys. I will see you in 2 weeks. I love you, man.